In the past, we posted a video explaining all of Luffy's opponents. Recently, we also posted a video explaining all of Zoro's forms in One Piece. So, what if we combined those two and see what happens? What would happen if current Zoro were to fight all of Luffy's opponents? Or rather, better put like this, which form would Zoro need to defeat Luffy's opponents? And against which opponents Zoro would ultimately lose? Well, let's find out. Just some small notes to make this video more enjoyable. Number 1, minor opponents Luffy faced that we did explain in our previous video, we're not gonna mention here. But the good thing is that Luffy did face some additional characters since then that we'll add to this video. Number 2, for Zoro's forms, we won't explain all that much in detail because again, we already did that in the past. We'll just see which form Zoro needs to defeat, if he can of course, some of Luffy's main opponents. Number 3, to make things more interesting, we'll spin a wheel and see which opponent we get each time. Number 4, there are 20 battles we will analyze, and by the end of the video, we'll see how many of those could Zoro actually defeat on his own. Spinning the wheel. And the first character we get is Kizaru. Okay, so we're starting strong, huh? Well, obviously, we'll have to consider Zoro's strongest form here. Post-time skip Asura mode. Zoro here wields Wado Ichimonji, Sandai Kitetsu, and Enma. He also has access to all 3 forms of Haki and has extreme durability, strength, speed, battle IQ, and swordsmanship abilities. But will that be enough to defeat Kizaru? You see, Luffy fought Kizaru rather recently in Egghead Island arc. And let me tell you, Kizaru went absolutely insane. So could Zoro defeat someone that moves with the speed of light while also creating clones of himself? Well, I would have to say no, especially given that Zoro will not be getting that racist power boost given his opponent. Zoro is still not in the level to defeat Kizaru, at least not while this video's recorded, that is. Even Zoro's Asura mode is not enough here. If we are being honest though, not only does Zoro not make it alive, Kizaru will probably put him to sleep in no time as well. That sleep will be nearly as deep as the one you'll get when buying any sleep mask from Manta Sleep. And why is sleep important? Well, don't take my word for it, ask science! Scientific fact, sleep regulates your hormones, which in turn helps you lose fat, build muscle easier, be more alert in school and work, perform better in sports, literally any area of your life, sleep affects it. And let's just say that their new release, Sound Mask V2, is a game changer too. It is the most comfortable Bluetooth sleep mask in existence, equipped with ultra-thin Bluetooth speakers designed specifically for comfort for even side sleepers. What I love most about this mask is their 24-hour battery life, something that, by the way, is 3 times longer than leading competitors. Check Manta Sleep by clicking the link in the description down below and use code Akagami to get 10% off for any sleep mask you buy. So, what are you waiting for? Improve your sleep today by buying sleep masks from Manta Sleep. But now, let's get back to our video. But what if we spin the wheel again? And now, get Charlotte Cracker. You see, Charlotte Cracker was one of Big Mom's sweet commanders and a formidable adversary with his biscuit soldiers and immense strength. Luffy eventually managed to defeat him by using 4th gear Tank Man. But can Zoro compete or even surpass that? Well, the form we'll consider for him to be able to do that is either his 9th or 10th form. Let's start with the 9th, aka Wado Ichimonji, Sandai Kintetsu, and Enma, while also having all the power boosts we previously mentioned, with the exception of Asura mode. So, could Zoro defeat Cracker? Well, check this. Cracker can produce countless biscuit soldiers from the Bispis fruit, which are incredibly durable, capable of fighting on his behalf, and can even use weapons. He can also create a suit of biscuit armor to protect himself, often while hiding within one of his biscuit soldiers, creating the illusion that the soldier is his true self. He can also coat his biscuits and his sword with armament Haki to increase their hardness and destructive power, making his biscuit soldiers even more dangerous. But well, Zoro has faced more difficult opponents and won in this form, namely King. The thing is that Zoro's attacks with Enma are catastrophic, so no matter how well Cracker coats his soldiers, Zoro can slice them a bunch at a time with a single slash. Plus, given his range of attack, he can finish off Cracker without even getting close. So, no need for Zoro to even use Asura here. His 9th form does it just fine. And for the 3rd poll, we get Axe Hand Morgan. You see, after leaving Alvida's ship, Luffy and Kobe arrive at Shell's Town, where they hope to find a pirate hunter named Roronoa Zoro in order to add him to their crew. There, Luffy's second major opponent is Axe Hand Morgan. After successfully freeing Zoro, the two of them join forces, and together, they defeat Morgan. But what if Zoro now has to fight Axe Hand Morgan alone? Well, the form Zoro was here is adult with Wado Ichimonji and 2 normal swords. So, we'll go a step further and use his next powered-up form, Logue Town, with Wado Ichimonji, Sendai Kitetsu, and Yubashiri. The form Zoro faced Morgan in the actual story was barely not enough to defeat him on his own. Now, add a powered-up form with better swords and more battle experience acquired through the journeys he had with the Straw Hats? Oh, Morgan stands no chance. Spinning the wheel again. Our next pull is Wapol. After eating something, Wapol can mutate the object or material into his body, such as turning his arm into a cannon, for example, if he was to consume one. So, what if Zoro were to fight him? Well, for that, we'll be using his pre-time skip Asura mode. Here, Zoro was capable of defeating the Cypher Pole agent Kaku, so even though Wapol was considered a big shot back then, able to terrorize an entire nation, well, this form of Zoro is perfectly capable of handling things just fine. But then, what if we move on to someone that Zoro actually almost defeated on his own? We now have to speak about Hodi Jones. As a fishman, Hodi has at least 10 times the physical power of a human. Add into the fact that he was abusing performance-enhancing pills, then yeah, he was indeed some trouble. Each pill would double his strength, and after eating 15 of them, well, with some basic math, that means his power grew by a factor of over 32,000. And even like that, Zoro almost ended the arc quite early on his own. To be fair, he did so before Hodi Jones consumed that many pills. But still, for Zoro to take down this full, powered-up version of Hodi Jones, let's see which version we need to use. If we go with his post-time skip version, then this is exactly the form Zoro had during this arc, and it might not have been enough in the end. So let's just use the Enma version of Zoro. In that stage, 1 slash is enough, and Hodi Jones is no more, no matter how many pills he takes. Now let's take things a bit more seriously. It's time we talk about Crocodile. Here, anything before his 9th form won't cut it for Zoro. After all, with Crocodile being a Logia, we need Zoro to have mastered his Haki as much as possible. If we go with Enma, I think this might or might not have been enough, given that in Marineford, Crocodile was literally tanking attacks from a Kainu while also pulling up to fight anyone on sight, including Whitebeard. So let's just go with Zoro's 10th form, Asura mode during Wano. Overall, I think this form would probably be enough to let Zoro take this round as well. Next up, it's the first character Luffy ever faced, Alvida. After Kobe saves Luffy from drowning by picking up his barrel, Luffy acts like, well, you know, Luffy, and thus attacks the Alvida pirates when he sees that they're kind of evil. One Gomu Gomu no pistol to the face, and Alvida was sent flying. But how about Zoro? Which form would he need to achieve such a result? Well, his kid version is definitely not considered, obviously, but I do feel like his next one is adult with Wado Ichimonji and 2 normal swords. You see, by this time, Zoro was already a notorious pirate hunter, and Alvida was, well, you know, Alvida. Have Zoro do 1 3-style sword attack on her, and she's not only defeated, she probably doesn't even make it out alive. As don't forget, unlike Luffy, Zoro has no hesitation or moral boundaries when it comes to killing people. Bro is not as soft as Luffy. And yet this next victim of Luffy's was among my favorites, Buggy. You see, after a series of complications, Luffy and the Straw Hats find themselves fighting the Buggy Pirates, in which Luffy did something that, well, should be illegal even among pirates. As soon as Buggy detached his upper body and started chasing Nami, I guess he forgot that his most vulnerable body parts are located in the lower half. So what did Luffy do? Well, he went right ahead and kicked him in, well, you know where. Damn, that should have definitely hurt. But since Luffy did not give this attack a name, what do you think you'd name this attack? How about you let me know down in the comments below? But now, what if Zoro is faced against Buggy? Well, it might sound bizarre, but yeah, this form of Buggy is probably the natural enemy of Zoro. You see, being a swordsman, Zoro relies on slashes to defeat his opponents. And guess what? Buggy is immune to slashes because of his devil fruit. And since Zoro would never really go that low to kick Buggy in, you know, there's no way for him to defeat him. At least not so easily, that is. So we're gonna move all the way to the strongest form he has, aka Wano Arc with Enma. Here, Zoro is finally proficient enough in Haki haki, so he does the only thing he actually could against his natural enemy, imbue his swords with enough haki to bypass the effects of Buggy's devil fruit, so that, in the end, the slashes actually affect him. Quite an advanced form he needs here to defeat such a weak opponent, but oh well, that's the legend Buggy for you. Spinning the wheel again, we now get Gecko Moria. Here, Zoro will not only need to defeat Moria himself, but also his shadow soldiers too. And to make things more interesting, let's assume that among his soldiers, we have oars in as well. So with that being said, I'll be going for Zoro's 9th form, which I think will be enough. Enma's slashes can literally slash through mountains with ease, and even more impressively, cut through and penetrate Kaido's impenetrable body. So what do you think would happen if Zoro uses one of those attacks on oars? Well, the poor guy would be split in half. That's what would happen. As for the rest of the shadow soldiers, well, they're pretty much the same. One slice away from being history. Zoro literally defeated zombie Ryuma in this arc, the second strongest zombie after oars, and he did it in a much weaker form. So yeah, with Zoro and Moria being faced 1v1 now, well, Moria is also one slice away from being history. Up next, we get Kuro. Given that Kuro was among the very early villains, we're gonna have to go easy on him. Let's use Zoro's 4th version, Logtown with Wado Ichimonji, Sendai Kitetsu, and Yubashiri. Kuro does not really have all that many special abilities, he just has a rather superhuman speed and stealth, at least when talking about early One Piece standards, that is. When compared with this version of Zoro, he's neither fast, strong, or even capable of causing any damage to Zoro. Once again, this is an easy win for Zoro. And next, a very interesting one, Rob Lucci. Well, we definitely know how this plays out, but there is a catch we need to discuss. When it comes to Luffy versus Rob Lucci, this pair fought twice. In the second occasion, after Lucci got packed by Luffy, he thought, oh well, let's just fight his right-hand man at least, only to be packed once more. So yeah, for Lucci's awakened version, Zoro needs his 9th form, aka Enma. But how about Lucci's 1st version? Well, in that case, I think anything before time skip isn't gonna be enough. But how about Zoro's 8th form, aka his post-time skip version? Well, here, Zoro's attack potency has reached a point where he can penetrate Lucci's haki-enhanced body. He's fast enough to keep up with him and has the battle IQ for a fight like that. Zoro takes this round as well. Moving on, the next draw we get is Foxy. Alright, so this one might be a bit tricky, I guess, since Foxy does have some very special abilities. After all, his Devil Fruit is indeed among the most overpowered and most underrated ones in the world of One Piece. But against an opponent with good enough speed, perception, battle IQ, and haki, well, Foxy would be cooked. Any version of post-time skip Zoro and after, Foxy stands no chance. Spinning the wheel again, we now get Bellamy. Again, this is quite easy to conclude. In the original story, Bellamy and his crew went on to beat Luffy and Zoro in the bar, but that was before Bellamy got really in the way of Luffy. When he did, well, all I'll say is that Luffy showed him the hard way what the answer to his question of, quote, do you even know how to throw a punch, was. Yeah, a pretty big yes, actually. In reality, both Zoro and Luffy were pretty much stronger than Bellamy, even at that point in time. Any version of Zoro from pre-time skip Asura and onward makes light work of Bellamy. And now, we're finally reaching the most difficult battle to conclude, Zoro versus Katakuri. In the original story, it took Luffy everything he had and even did not have to finally defeat Katakuri. Being the first commander of a Yonko, his power is estimated to rival that of kings. Now, who's actually stronger is kind of a debate, to be honest, with some fans saying King, while others saying Katakuri. On my end, I think they're about the same level, but with very different key attributes that would mean that just because Zoro defeated King doesn't necessarily mean he could defeat Katakuri too. So here, we'll obviously go with Zoro's strongest form to see if he really could defeat Katakuri. But how strong is Katakuri now? Well, a significant part of his strength comes from his incredibly powerful observation haki, which allows him to see the future. Also, his awakened Mochi Mochi no Mi Devil Fruit, which grants him control over Mochi and enables him to make his body intangible by transforming it into Mochi, is also a significant aspect of his power. And we're not even mentioning the physicality he possesses, as well as the elite battle IQ on top of that. So, can Zoro take him? Well, let's look at some facts here. Number 1, Zoro will not be getting his racist power boost the same way he got when he fought King. Number 2, Katakuri is a bit more level-headed and does not underestimate his opponents like King did for most of the fight. Plus, with his advanced level of observation haki, I think it means Zoro has a difficult time hitting him, while Katakuri has no problem hitting Zoro. Overall, I think I would give this to Katakuri, at least until Zoro gets another power-up in the Elbaf arc. or even later. Next up, we've got Enel. You see, Enel, the self-proclaimed god of Skypiea with his lightning powers, was a terrifying opponent for Luffy. But thankfully, Luffy's rubber body made him immune to Enel's lightning attacks. In reality, Enel had the potential to be one of the strongest characters in all of One Piece, but unfortunately for him, he met his natural enemy very early on. But could Zoro actually defeat this version of Enel? Well, probably yeah. You see, with enough control over Haki, Devil Fruit abilities can be nullified or countered, meaning that Enel's lightning attacks could indeed be tanked with Zoro's swords, as long as proper Haki is applied to them. So for this to happen, we'll need to move all the way to Zoro's 9th form, with Enma during Wano arc. From here onwards, I guess Zoro could probably match Enel's speed, block his attacks, and also unleash attacks that would cut even Logia Devil Fruit users like him. Zoro takes this one too. The next one though might not be so easy. We now get Saturn. Saint J. Garcia Saturn's power in One Piece stems from his mythical Zoan Devil Fruits, which allows him to transform into a monstrous spider-bull hybrid known as a Yuki. He possesses abilities such as extreme regeneration, immortality, and potent poison. Even though many fans were quick to point out that the Five Elders are frauds and were basically being toyed with by Luffy and other characters, well, believe me, Zoro defeating Saturn is not an easy one. After all, for someone to inflict actual damage on them, the attacker needs to possess a special type of Haki that can injure God's Knights. So, because Zoro doesn't have this yet, even if we take his 10th form, aka post-time skip Asura mode, it's still not gonna be enough. Zoro is stronger, but after a while, exhaustion sets in, and Saturn doesn't even have a scratch on him. As a result, Zoro loses against Saturn. Spinning the wheel again, we now get Don Quixote Doflamingo. Here, once again, we're gonna go ahead and use the 9th form of Zoro, aka Wano with Enma. Doflamingo is indeed quite powerful, having the ability of the string fruit, and even more than that, having awakened it. It allows him to control people via strings, and even turn his surroundings into strings. We even saw him creating a clone of himself. But well, as you probably realized by now, Zoro's Enma slashes are pretty overpowered. So much that even Kaido needs to make sure he doesn't get hit by them. So what do you think would happen if Zoro slashed Doflamingo with this? Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Zoro takes this round too. Next up, well, we've been mentioning Kaido for quite a while, so what if we talk about him next? Obviously here, we're gonna go for Zoro's strongest form, post-time skip Asura, aka the one he used during Wano. To be fair, yeah, Zoro's slashes can indeed injure Kaido, but in no way is Zoro stronger than him at this point. It took the combined efforts of multiple people, including Zoro's captain Luffy, to defeat him. So Zoro on his own? Yeah, not even a question. Zoro cannot defeat Kaido on his own. On to our last two of the video, we now get Arlong. Here, the only debate is which form Zoro needs to defeat him, and not so much if he could defeat him. Taking this in order, his injured version during Arlong is not enough. Logtown with Wado Ichimonji, Sandai Kitetsu, and Yubashiri? Well, this is a bit debatable to be honest, but I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Same with pre-time skip Asura and zombie version during Thriller Bark. But without a doubt, after acquiring Shusui in Thriller Bark, Zoro is more than capable enough of taking down Arlong on his own. And now, for our final point, we've got the legend himself, Don Krieg. Again, no need to discuss this one for too long. Anything after the Logtown version of Zoro can pretty much decimate the self-proclaimed, so-called strongest man in the world. Thanks for watching, and click on this video next for more One Piece content. Go on, check it out!